Yo, what's up? All right, I found Groot's finger, but I haven't glued it back on. Groot's gonna join us here today. So, right, Groot?
I am Groot.
All right. Yo, what's up? If you're probably wondering why I'm laughing, it's because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna start this video and just retake. No, man, just live, just go. No, not live. Just go through it. Yo, so Groot's helping us out today. Still missing his finger, but we did find the finger. We just gotta glue it back on. Woke up earlier today and I noticed I had a notification on the December Heelys compilation video. There was a comment on there from Robbie. Robbie was mentioning, he's like, hey, can you help me with my Heelys? So I cleaned them with water, and after that my mom got some stuff on them, and after 3 days later, one of my wheels sounds weird. I don't know what to do on the wheels, so can you make a video about what to do? Yeah, sure, so this is gonna be that video. Unfortunately, I only got one camera today, mine's at work, so you're gonna see me now, and then you're gonna see me at the end of the video. From here going forward, we're gonna go ahead and switch to hand modeling. You don't know what hand modeling is? Well, we're about to find out. Check this out. All right, hand model. You know those times your parents say, stop biting your nails, or in my case, don't bite the skin around the edge of your nails. This is why you might have to do YouTube videos and you're gonna have to show it off to millions and millions of people. But I'll be good if only one person watches this. So, Robbie, this one's for you. Okay, check this out. What we're gonna talk about is not how to fix it. I'm gonna teach you how I troubleshoot stuff, because if you know how to troubleshoot what you're doing, then you can kind of put the pieces together when you don't have the exact answer. So let's start with that. Wheels, right? These are the wheels on your Heelys. If you've never taken them apart, this is all you really know until you figure out how to disassemble them. So that's cool and all, but let's get you a better comprehension of what we're working with here. Okay? We've got a wheel, we've got a bearing, we've got an axle, and then we've got a, how do we want to call this? It's a retaining pin, a retaining clip, but whatever, we'll work with that. Only thing is you don't have one bearing, you have two bearings. Why? Because one goes on one side of the wheel and one goes on the other side of the wheel. So what's the idea here? Very simple. This is the wheel. This is what spins, and this is what allows you to move. So when a pair of Heelys were first put together, they had to figure out, how do I make this go on to this, right? Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to put something in here that's going to spin freely, because this is plastic. If you stick your fingers in here, yeah, it'll spin, but you put enough pressure and you put enough time on it, all that plastic is gonna wear out. The plastic isn't meant to spin on, okay? So that's why they use bearings. Basically what it is your bearing is what's spinning. This is your wheel, but you don't wanna put that on here, right? You're not gonna get very far. So we take this and we stick it on something else that's bigger, so that way the bigger thing can actually spin, right? So what's happening here is this bearing, it's not screwed in, it's literally just pressure fit. What do I mean by pressure fit? You put it in and you push it, and by pushing it in, the friction, or better yet, well yeah, the friction between the bearing, the outside, and the plastic here, that's what's gonna keep it from sliding, right? Because you don't want this to slide on the inside, or else this is sliding inside the wheel, and that's not really a good scenario. We're trying to turn the bearing into a wheel by wrapping the bearing with rubber, and that's what we did here, right? Okay, so for the most part, you're really not going to have too many difficulties with this part, because literally it's well, the only thing could really go wrong with this, from my understanding, is you can get, rubber's gonna chip off here, like in this one, right? And then over time, you may get some wearing on the inside here from constant friction and constant movement from the bearing. So we don't have too much that we need to focus on or play with this, right? So we're gonna put this over here. This bearing right here, this is where all of your motion, this is where everything is spinning for the most part, right? And then this axle. This is what connects this to this. So think of it like a screw, right? I am screwing this bearing into the shoe. This is my screw, this is the bearing, my wheel, and I'm screwing it in, right? That's what this is for. So, the bearing is gonna go on here, the wheel, I'm gonna call this the wheel right now, okay? The small wheel. Small wheel, this is the big wheel. We stick the small wheel into big wheel and we make a bigger wheel. Not really, okay. We get a Mega Pro, no, that's different. So here's the little wheel, okay? When we stick this screw through it, this screw, or the axle, has a little bump or indentation on the end here that keeps the wheel from going any further out. So this is as far as it's gonna go. The only place it can go from here is this way, right? So it's a one-way street in this case, right? If we put a second one on there, same deal, right? It can only go to the right. Well, if we put this little retaining pin, right? We put it on here. I thought I'd be able to do this with fingers, but we might use a tool. Here, I got it on just enough to be able to demo it, okay. Right? This creates a lip, kind of like this side, on here to keep it from coming off, right? But we had to use a clip instead of this because we have to be able to take this off and put it on to make changes, right? So that's why they put a clip on here. So this clip, which actually goes all the way down here, you can actually see the groove right there, right? When we put it on and take it off, we have to put this piece all the way down here at the groove. And what that does is it keeps it from sliding off at this point, right? So now, that's basically everything for your wheels right now. Slap this on top of it, and now you have a rubber surface that you can roll across the ground. But generally, honestly, this is technically a wheel right now. Now, it's not gonna be very stable because there's nothing keeping the two from colliding with each other. So they're gonna kind of like move whichever way they want to, right? The wheel itself has a groove, or better yet, it's wider on the outside and it's more narrow on the inside. See those ridges in there, right? There's a lip. The idea here is that when this is sitting inside, this bearing, the smaller wheel, is actually sitting inside this channel here. The plastic groove in the middle is creating the separation here that keeps them separated, spread apart. And then this little clip over here is what's keeping this one inside here, right? So that's the assembly here. Now check this out. Most of the problems that we're gonna have with these is going to be right here. These two pieces, because you're not gonna, this is just holding stuff in place. This is just allowing this to roll on the ground and not break, and it gives you a bigger surface area and it's softer and all kinds of other good stuff, okay? So, done. Everything we need to work on is here at the bearings. Now, there's a couple different things you can do here. The easiest one, which a lot of people do, and honestly, I'm about to do that in a moment here once I get off of this and go on Amazon. Buy a new set of bearings. I know you can disassemble them, you can clean them, and I highly recommend them. However, not all problems can be fixed by cleaning them. What do I mean? Okay, look at these bearings. I just took these ones off. And here, let me give you an A and B. I might have to change the focus on here. What's that? Okay. Can you see the difference? Hold on. Can you see the difference in the surface of the two? This one here, it's concave. It's actually, if you look at it, it's higher on the outside, and then the plastic rolls and goes inwards as it gets down here, right? So it's not flat, it's more like that shaped, right? This one here, on the other hand, if you look at it, it's flat. So this one's still good. Okay, you want them to be flat. You don't want them to be concave like that. This is basically showing that this bearing is getting pushed in from the inside, and it's usually, well, I want to say usually, I feel that it has to do with how we are leaning and riding on here. Why? Because check this out. I was wearing these Heelys for about a month, right? But I was wearing them from when I woke up to when I went to bed every single day. So they got a lot of wear. The other day when I was cleaning them, what I noticed was on the inside in here, let's see if does that come up in the picture? Maybe, I don't know. You can see that there's actually a groove on the inside in here and not so much on this side, right? Then on the other foot, same thing. This one has like a chunk that's missing in here, right? And this one just has a slight groove, slight. So there's a lot of pressure being put in on the inside here. This is the left foot, right? So check this out. The groove is here, right? Then on the right shoe, the main groove right here is on the outside, on the left, which is out here. So something is telling me that when I've been riding, I've been putting a lot of pressure on this side and on this side, right? Well, that's what they refer to as alignment. A lot of people take their cars in to get their alignments checked or get their alignments fixed because the tires wear unevenly on both sides. This is alignment on how we are riding. So if you notice this, like basically what can I take from this? Well, now it's in my awareness that when I'm riding, understand, got to think about mechanics here in a little bit. All right, so if pressure's on here and pressure's on here, that means I'm pushing this way. I'm pushing this way. So when I'm riding now, I need to keep that in my awareness. How do my feet feel? Do I feel like I'm pushing them this way? And try to correct by pushing a little to the left. So this is a little bit more involved once you start understanding how your feet feel on here, but you can just look at that and understand how you're riding and how you're wearing out your shoes. So a little bit of a physics or whatever teaching there. Coming back to here. Okay, so let's say that buying a new set of bearings is not something that's in the cards right now. You can't do it, okay? So you just want to clean them? Okay. Ideal scenario. Ideal. Ideal means this is the best way to do it. Or I would say the best way. This is a very good way to do it if it's possible and if you have the tools, okay? When you go to disassemble your wheels for the first time, the first thing that you're gonna do is you need to take this axle out, right? And in order to take that axle out, well, you can't take it off on this part, the nubby part, right? Because it's prevented from going this way. You have to go the other way. You have to take it off this way, right? And when you go from this direction, you have this little collar, this little pin that's in there, and it's holding it in place, right? Well, this thing, in order to take it off, what you have to do is somehow find a way to split it, like to pull it apart, and then you take it off. And then when you put it back on, you do the same thing backwards. You separate it, you pull it apart, and then you put it back on. Now they make tools to do this. They're called, what are they called? They're called ring pliers, I believe. Look them up, I'll check. Check the description. I'm gonna put as many links as I can to kind of help you find tools and parts and whatever I can to make this process as easy as possible. So for now, ideal scenario. To take this apart, they have this tool, ring pliers, right? The one that I got actually comes with different types of tips, and honestly, I wouldn't buy this one again because unless I'm doing it wrong, for some reason, whenever I go to use it, when I push on here, you see how it starts to come up, and then it just makes this whole weird, funky scenario where you're trying to hold this down and press this and see, oh, there we go. Hold on, I gotta fix that now. Okay, so now that this is fixed, again, if you can find one where everything's just one piece, I mean, I know a lot of the kits that I saw have like all these, oh, this is cool, you can do it from this angle and this angle. yo, forget it, man. It seems cool idea, but really, if it's all just one piece, there's less stuff to mess around with. So find one. Basically, if you look at it, they're like two little picks, right? And when you squeeze it, it takes them apart. So the idea is that you would put this on here, space it out just enough to be able to fit it inside the hole, like that, right? And then when you squeeze it, it gets wider, right? See it? Easiest way to do it. Then this way, when you go to put it on here, you squeeze it, and you squeeze it, bring it down to where that notch is at I was talking about, and you let it go. Now when you take them off, it stays in place, right? So we need to first take it off of here by removing that pin and then sliding the axle off. Okay, so that takes care of that. Okay, put this one back on here. I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, of course. Okay, so now we remove that piece, and now what we're gonna end up with is this. And now at this point, all we need to do is take the axle out. Boom. Now what do we have left? We have the bearings left, right? Now, this was really easy because we just had to slide it off of here and there's nothing else around it. Well, realistically, these would still be stuck in here now, right? We just slid this off. And now the bearings are in here. Okay. Next tool. I have no clue what this is called. I'm gonna do some research after I shoot this video and I'll put some information in the link. But basically I went to a skate shop and they recommended to use this tool. This is what they use for skateboards in order to remove the bearings off of their wheels. And I've never had to do this without this, so tonight's gonna be an interesting experiment. But this is what it does, okay? This tool has two little bearings on here, one on this side, one on this side, right? Right now, I can't push them. They're basically just sitting there, right? When I push this button in, now the bearings actually fall inside, right? And it makes this completely smooth. When I let go of the button, the bearings pop out, and now there's a ridge here. Purpose for that is it's supposed to be like a pair of fingers, right? Like grips. So if I had the bearings out, it's a demonstration, right? If I hold this button, or better yet, don't even hold it. If I just try to press it in, I can't go in. Why? Because there's a ridge there, right? If I push the button, now the bearings go in and I can take the bearing off or on, right? The moment I let go of the button, now the bearing's locked inside there. From this position, if I don't have the button in, I can't put it in. When I push the button in and bring it in and let it go, from this position, I can't take it out, right? So this is basically acting like a set of fingers that are grabbing this from the other side. So check this out. If these things are in here and they're on there really, really tight, they're pressure fit, you can't get it to come out. All you have to do is you take this, right? You push the button that makes the bearings go in. You stick it in, you let it go, and now it becomes like a hand. You have a hand that's holding this from the inside, right? So now when you pull them together, or pull them apart, you break stuff. No, I'm kidding. I just dropped something on the floor. Dude, for real. Like, give yourself some space when you do this. You don't know how much force it's gonna take or how far your arm's gonna fling out. I've seen Wii controllers go across rooms doing similar things. So this tool only cost me like 12 bucks, but we're gonna have to figure out how someone would do this without the tool, because I haven't had to do that yet. Now, what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna take these things apart and we're gonna clean these. Now, I usually use a flathead screwdriver, but like a really small one here. I'm gonna show you the one that I normally use. Okay, so these are just like a mini set of screwdrivers that you can use for pretty much anything. What I'm looking for is I'm just trying to find like a small flathead or just something with an edge. And in the corners here, what you want to do is basically trying to get it right, get a little bit of a grip, and then pop it out. All right, got this piece off. And now in here, those are your bearings. The idea with this is that, remember how I said that this was a small wheel and this is a big wheel and the small wheel goes inside the big wheel? Yeah, well, the exact same scenario has been replicated here. Now this inner part, this is the small wheel. In this case, it would have been the whole thing, right? And then this outer part is basically like the big rubber part, right? This big piece. And then in between these parts, you have these little metal bearings, little balls, right? And these balls stay separated by these little inserts in between them. Now, as long as these little balls and this entire chamber is actually lubricated, it'll just continue to spin and spin and spin and spin. That's how bearings work. The only problem here is that these things are close to the ground all the time, and they're always spinning and kicking up dirt. So dirt will get in between these grooves over time. And if you live a place like Texas, like me, where, especially West Texas, where dirt's everywhere, this thing gets, here, check this out. You can see how these things are dirty, and I've only worn them probably, I don't know, a few days. So what you want to do here is basically get this thing cleaned and then re-lubricate it. Now, ideal scenario, this isn't the only brand that's out there. This just happens to be the one that I was introduced to, okay? This one's called Bones Speed Cream. And from my understanding, Bones is kind of like a very popular company in the skating world. So I'm pretty sure there's others. I haven't done any research yet. I'm still pretty new to all this, okay? So this is gonna be your lubrication, your oil. If you don't have this, there's a couple other recommendations that I've found on Google, like using motor oil. There's even some other kinds of lubricating oils, but honestly, none of them were recommended for short-term or even long-term or even short-term use. It was more like in case you got to do it, this is what you do. So I highly recommend find some way to get lubrication that's made for skating. Do not use WD-40. WD-40 is a big no-no for this stuff and for a lot of other things. So just stay away from that. Now, to clean these, this is what I use to clean my bearings, my toothbrush. But this is not the one, well, technically this is the one that I use on my teeth because I can't find the other one at the moment. But I'm not gonna clean these right now, and I'm not gonna stick these back in my teeth after I do, back in my mouth after I'm done cleaning these. So, but this seems to be the easiest way. I have an oscillating toothbrush, so when I put it on, it just goes, and it just makes it so much easier to get in the crevices, because if you're just doing this by hand, you're only gonna get so many strokes in there. There's many more strokes. So if you can do that, what do you use for the cleaners in here? Well, this is what I use right now. It's called Sonic Turbo Wash. There are other things that you can use. Honestly, if you don't have anything like this laying around the house, which most people don't, I had to order this off of Amazon. Oh, I'm spilling. Some people use acetone. I don't have any in the house, but that's actually a common household thing that I know a lot of people do have. So if you have acetone, that works too. But the idea is you want, whoa, don't drop them. If you could take this, put it in some type of a container with the acetone, and then shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Let it sit for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Come back, shake it up again. And then come in here and brush it, clean it off real good, right? Also, take off the cap on both sides, this side and the other side. After it's been cleaned off, rinse it off with water, and then come back and dry it. Make sure it's really dry, and then let it sit to air dry. Just like leave them out overnight, those should be fine. Then what you wanna do is at that point, the bearings are actually clean, but they need to be re-lubricated, because if you put them in there freshly cleaned with no lubrication, you're gonna wear this out and it's gonna get all messed up. Don't wanna do that. So you'll come back in here, add your 2 or 3 drops around your bearings, spin them around a little bit, put your cap back on, right? And then that's basically it. After that point, just put everything back together the way that you took it apart and then try them out. That should fix them. If not, then it could be something else that's causing it that has nothing to do with being dirty. And like I said, for me, it was the sleeves. On my elf shelf Heelys here, even after I cleaned them, I was still getting a bunch of noise. And that's when I realized that it has to do with the bearings that look like this, which are concaved, right? That means they're pushed in this way in conjunction with hitting the inside of the shoes. So that was a operator error in that case. All right, that's ideal situation, ideal scenario. Now, let's say for instance, you don't have all these ideal tools, right? This is when you need to improvise. And that's what I used to have to do for many things, many things. I used to work on cars like crazy, and oh my God, the amount of things I had to modify and improvise to work on that car, on all of them. Okay, let's start off. We don't have one of these. Okay, so what are we gonna do? I just need to find something to separate those pins, right? So start to experiment. Go look around your house. I'm gonna go find something pointy. Please don't hurt yourself. I'll be right back. Okay, went in my garage. The very first thing that I could find. Right? This is called a test light, right? Who cares what the function is for? The point is it has a pointy tip at the end, okay? This is the first thing I could find with a pointy tip at the end. So, can I fit this inside here? Yes, okay. Now we improvise. Let's start with these other wheels. All right, let's see if I can get them off. No, not if I can. Let's see how long it takes. Better yet, that's a more accurate assumption. It's gonna come off. Okay, look, I got a little bit of an edge there. Now if I could find a way to keep that edge from popping back down. Okay. We haven't gotten to the next tool yet, but screwdriver, right? I'm gonna stick a screwdriver under there to hold that part up. Keep it from resetting. Oh, we got it. All right, so improvise, right? If you don't have the tool, doesn't mean you can't do the job, but I guarantee you that was a lot harder than click. Okay, so we got this piece off, wonderful. Now we pull the axle out. Okay, now we've got to get this off. This, I have no clue how we're gonna do it. So, my biggest thing is, take this into consideration. This is plastic. This is metal. This is metal. The only thing that we can pry or pull in order to get this out is on metal. We cannot touch the plastic or we're gonna break the plastic. So, the first thing that I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna try to pry it out from the center. How am I to do this? Well, I've already got this tool out. How about we do that? We'll try to pop it out from here, okay? Maybe work around the edges a little bit. Oh, it's starting to move. Hold on. Ah, we got one. Sweet. That was so much easier than the other one. Okay. Now for this side, we could do the same thing. Or what I was thinking, make it a little bit easier. If you have a socket wrench, no, right? If you've got a socket wrench. Come on. Most people have some tools around their house, right? From what I see, the tip of this, not that one, this side. This side, not so good. It touches the plastic, right? This side right here, it only touches the metal, right? The idea is if I put this in here, I should just be able to go pop, 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 right? Huh. Voila, look at that. That was so much easier than taking this little pin off. So now we've got everything disassembled. From this point, like I said, just take these apart, go ahead and clean them, lubricate them, put it all back together, and just reassemble it the same way. If you're still having problems after that point, chances are you probably got to replace these bearings. So Give that a shot and see how that goes. God, Miney, I hope you don't watch this video. I'm gonna hear it about this one. Yo, so if you learned anything about today, don't quit, don't give up, figure it out, find some way to make it happen. Life existed before we had tools, and there's ways to do everything. So there was a lot of times when I was trying to take this little ring clip apart where I'm like, this ain't working, this ain't working, this ain't working. Just keep going, you'll figure it out. If you started it, that means you can do it. So at that point, just keep going until it gets done. Other than that, hey, yo, Robbie, I hope this helps you. Anyone else, I hope it helps you as well too. Don't hurt yourself. Peace.